Sure. Thanks, Clemens. So I'll just sort of give a brief contextual framing of the project and the planned work and what we hope to get out of it. So essentially, I mean, as I'm sure everyone is aware, cannabis has been essentially decriminalized in South Africa for private use or private consumption, which means essentially between consenting adults in private spaces. There is a number of issues with the way in which it has been conceptualized and articulated in the law, ranging from procedural things like, what constitutes private consumption and how many plants are you allowed to grow and the like, to bigger conceptual issues around what constitutes private space in the context of a township, for instance, where, there are no defined walls and the like. So there are a number of issues, but as a result of those complexities, I would say the policing of cannabis has been or has continued to be somewhat sporadic and difficult to trace out. There's no consistency. There's a lot of issues around it. There is also the targeting of specific groups, the Rastafarian groups, for instance, and various ongoing issues that sort of relate to performance metrics and the need for arrests over any form of other type of response. The result of which is a lot of litigation for SAPS, very little effective policing, if you could call it that, and an ongoing concern that despite the laws having changed, the lived reality of many users is simply that they continue to be policed, unless, of course, you can meet or fit into the very middle class idea of having a private space to consume your private cannabis, which you obviously did not receive the seeds from any other way, but grew them yourself somehow. So nonetheless, that's the context. The police as such, I don't think, there is a lot of, within the police, there is a lot of difference and there is ongoing issues with leadership at the moment. As some of you may note, there is a tribunal essentially to discuss leadership's impact or relationship with various organized criminal entities and the like. But nonetheless, as a result, there's a vacuum in which the policing is done at a significantly discretionary level. And as a result, it's a very mixed bag. And what we would like to do is to reframe that into a targeted, focused assemblage, which would culminate in the creation of standing orders or national instructions, which ultimately will guide the police in a very practical, pragmatic sense, so as that when policing of cannabis is done, it is done so in a manner that is sustainable and within the rights of the law, and ultimately is aimed at upholding the law rather than simply trying to enforce an imaginary law that doesn't exist anymore. That project is, of course, that's essentially what the project is on. I mean, there will be many stages to it, and many different levels, but as Gernot mentioned, this is essentially the expert stream in which we look to your input and guidance as to how to do this. I'm particularly interested in topics around police culture and how we can begin engaging with the lingering concerns around arrests and performance metrics and the policing culture, which sustains that type of understanding of what constitutes successful policing in the first place. Those are for me, the interesting points, but of course there are many, and I look forward to the conversations. Thank you, and over to Myrtle.